Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Family Service for November 22nd. This is Reverend John Turner for the Orange County Buddhist Church and the Vista Buddhist Temple. I'll be leading services today, and you may notice there is a virtual Nigene behind me. I'm real, but the Nigene is virtual, and this is because we've gone back into a purple tier in Orange County. So to be careful and to take care of all of our Sangha members, we're going to start recording again remotely for our services. So this is the order of service for today. We're going to chant the Sambutsuge on page 33. You can find this in your service book. You can also go to the ocbuddhist.org website, and there is a link to our service book. And you can read it, off your iPad, or you can also download it as a hard copy. And then we'll have a musical offering, a selected saying, then I'll give a Dharma talk. We'll close with the same selected saying, and then we will have some announcements. So if you could please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Then we take our service book and we bring it to our forehead out of respect. Kogen-gi-gi, eijin mungoku nyoze emyo muyo tosha nichigatsu ni shuko enyo kaishitsu onpe Yunyaku jumoku nyose murin shogaku daion koru jipo kaimon shojin sanmai chi e hitoku muryo Shusho-kei-u Jindai Zennen Shobutsu Okai Gujin no Kugo Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Seison Yomu Nino Shishi Jintoku Muryo Kukun Konai Chi Ejimyo Komyo Iso Jindo Naisen Ganga Sabutsu Zaisho Ho Kato Shoji Mifuge Datsu Fusei Kainin Shojin Nyoze Sanmai Chi Eijo Gosei Tokubutsu Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Isanai on Keishi Ubutsu Yakusen no Kuman Muryo Naisho
主女語者供養一切死と小物不尿具道健常不逆非尿語者小物世界不不可け無臭節度公明師匠変死小国尿税精進異人難路老が差物国土内一公衆奇妙道場調節国女内音任務闘争がと愛民道脱一切十法来生心熱症状糸が国経楽安穏鉱物神妙税が心象発願の日力少々欲自法生存知恵無下上老子孫知が信行敬老心死小苦読中願行承認忍術不下ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがにしくどく平等性一切道恩母内心往生安楽Namandavats, Namandavats, 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 Namandavats. So thank you for chanting.
I always feel so rejuvenated after chanting, even more so than sitting in meditation. So that's something I've discovered about the Pure Land tradition is the incredible power of chanting. So next, we're very lucky this service to have another musical offering. This is all donated by our Sangha members. They find a piece, they practice, they set up their recording studio, and they donate and make an offering of their music, of their talent, and of their time, and of something of great value. And so I was really lucky this week to get another offering from Annette Inoue. She's from the Vista Buddhist Temple, and she's going to be playing flute. And it's a song called Woodland Revelry by Daniel Dorff. And this is a picture of Daniel. Usually I'm used to hearing people from the Baroque era or Mozart, but this is a contemporary. I think this song came out in the early 2010s. It's an original composition by Daniel. And the review from Flute Talk by Daniel Boyd Schultz says, "This gentle work sounds like a summer daydream, with its rising lines, legato passages, subtle embellishments of the main theme, interesting but not jarring contrasts, and generally meandering feel. It is not technically demanding, but contains many delightful opportunities for expression." And I wanted to mention there really isn't any such thing as an easy or hard piece. Somebody like Annette can bring out feeling and emotion to a piece. I wasn't really able to do that as a guitar player. My guitar teacher used to tell me to stop playing the guitar like a banjo and to play it like a violin, coerce the sound out of the guitar. I was kind of a pounder. So this is about a 3.5-minute musical offering by Annette Inoue from the Vista Buddhist Temple. Thank you very much, Annette. That was really wonderful to take time and maybe relax and have a moment of gratitude and self awareness that we're all here together safe, practicing the Dharma. So, next, I would like to read a selected saying. This is from the Sambutsuge that we just chanted. It's verse 18 and 20. So 18 is the second to the last verse, and verse 20 is the last verse. And I have highlighted in yellow, the bottom, last line, never have any regrets. So this is where we're headed with our Dharma talk for today. So if you could please join me in Gasho. May you, the Buddha, be my witness and attest to the truthfulness of my resolution. I have thus made my aspiration, always know my intentions. Even if I should be subjected to all kinds of suffering and torment, continuing my practice undeterred, I would endure it and never have any regrets. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So, this is the Sunday before Thanksgiving weekend, and Thanksgiving is an American holiday. It's one where we give thanks and we try to look back over the year and be grateful. And 2020 has been a very difficult year. Once in a 100-year pandemic, global warming, a presidential election. It's been a rough year, and yet we're still together, able to practice the Dharma undetoured, and we will endure without having any regrets. And so I wanted to talk today about how exactly do we give thanks, and how are we grateful, and how do we nurture gratitude? And one of the ways we do this, I think, is by having no regrets, not wishing things were different, accepting every event in our life, embracing it all with gratitude, the good and the bad, the mistakes and the successes, and the failures. So I saw this cartoon go by on Facebook, and it looks like a man at a grocery store. Looks like he's at the butcher shop. That looks like cheese. And the worker there says, "Have you been helped, sir?" And the customer says, "By so many people my entire life." And then the worker, the butcher, puts his hands on top of the counter, and it looks like the customer sheds a tear. And I really didn't get this much. I didn't understand what this meant, and I had to think about it some. But this is usually a sign of a good comic. It's at many levels, right? And you have to think about it. So on one level, I think he's happy he's being helped at the counter. But on a deeper level, it's a deep gratitude for everyone throughout his life that has helped him on his way. And then I noticed the masks. This is a COVID cartoon. So maybe also he's just thankful that everyone would wear a mask and that everyone looks out for one another and everyone is taking care of each other and that we'll get through this together. And in this way, he's living his life with no regrets. We can all be a hero right now during COVID. We can all take care of one another, and we can begin to really appreciate that we have a home and a family and a support group that can take care of us. So I kind of wanted to go over what I've been doing and some of the strange places I found gratitude. And also, I think in Buddhism, we kind of tell you should have gratitude, but how do you do that? What do you actually do? And I think the secret is to live an authentic life without any regrets and embracing everything in your life with gratitude. You can't pick and choose what you want to focus on or be happy about. You have to embrace it all because everything that's happened to you has made you who you are. And then someday, I think we'll look back at COVID and say, if it wasn't for that, maybe I wouldn't have become a doctor, Or maybe I wouldn't have studied so hard in college because there was nothing else to do. Maybe that's why I have the career I have, or maybe that's why I met the person I met. If it wasn't for COVID, I never would have met this person. So I wanted to share with you some of my experiences. These are my companions. I do a lot of ministering at home, just like right now. My dog is Madigan Turner. She's downstairs right now. I just fed her breakfast, and I'm hoping that she remains quiet. She is a schnoodle, not a snickerdoodle. That's a cookie. She's a schnoodle. She's a schnauzer poodle mix. And depending on how we cut her hair, she either looks like an old grumpy schnauzer, like with a beard, going, or a poodle. So that's Madigan on the left. She's at the sliding glass door, guarding my house. And then these are my son's dogs. This is Willow and Charlie. Charlie is I always get this wrong, Cavalier, St. Charles Cavalier. So his name's Charlie. And he's a very serious watchdog. I don't know if you can see his face there, but he's very serious. He's always guarding the perimeter. He's always incredibly serious watchdog. And he's also food obsessed. He just lives to eat. He's crazy about food. And then Willow is a rescue dog. Teague's wife found Willow in front of an Albertsons or a 7-Eleven, homeless, all dirty. And she took her home and nursed her back to health. And now Willow is kind of owns the home. She struts around like she's in charge. She's a wonderful dog. The only thing is, because of her time out on the street, she's very scared of horns, maybe car horns. So if I watch Around the Horn on ESPN and there's a horn, she gets really scared and jumps in my lap. I was watching the Masters the other day, and there's some kind of a bell they ring, and that got her very, very frightened. So these are my companions when I am at home practicing Buddhism and creating content as a minister. And then next, I've been watching lots and lots of Netflix. And this is one of the shows I watched. It's Lucifer. It's a little bit scary. There's another season left. But my wife and I were watching Lucifer, and I took a picture of my TV set. This is at minute 21 and 37 seconds of episode 13, maybe season 6. Those dishes there, those brown and white dishes, it's white in the middle and then it has a brown rim. Those are my dishes. Those are the exact dishes I have. So I was so excited and famous that my dishes are used as props on one of the shows that I always watch. So I thought that was very exciting. So I wanted to talk next about this idea of having no regrets. I looked it up on the internet, and a lot of people have gotten no regrets tattoos. This is a popular thing right now. But this went viral. I'm not a very good speller because I'm a mathematician. I didn't really notice the spelling error, but this doesn't really say no regrets. The tattoo artist made a mistake, and he wrote no regrets. So imagine wanting to live your life with no regrets and getting a tattoo that says no regrets. So there's a lot of irony there. I'm not sure if I could live with no regrets with a tattoo that says no regrets. And you can't autocorrect this out. You can't edit this out. I mean, this is skin deep. So I guess they'll have to try to flip those two letters from regrets to regrets. I've also seen examples where they spelled regret R-A-G-R-E-T-S instead of R-E-G. So you have to be really careful. You don't want to have regrets for your no regrets tattoo. But this is very important. I think this is an important sentiment, to not regret the past, to embrace it all. We make the best decisions we can given the information we have at hand, and then we move forward. I've always mentioned this quote, I wish I knew then what I know now. I would have done things differently. I've always thought that was kind of a silly statement. Of course, if I knew that Apple stocks were going to go through the roof in 1984, I would have bought an Apple. But I didn't know that then. And so I didn't buy Apple stock in 1984. We do all kinds of things like this in life. We have limited information, but we still have to take action. We still have to move forward. And sure, knowing what we know now, we would have done things different. But that's not really a helpful exercise, I don't think. Just try to move forward, take action decisively without regrets, and be authentic. And then this is another Netflix show I watched. It's a documentary. It's called Tricky Dick and the Man in Black. These are two nicknames. I'm old enough to know that Tricky Dick was Richard Nixon and the Man in Black was Johnny Cash. And this is about a concert that the Nixon White House wanted Johnny Cash to give. And this is in 1970. And there's kind of a backstory here. Richard Nixon and the Nixon White House really wanted Johnny Cash to sing a song by Merle Haggard called I'm an Okie from Muskogee. And this is kind of a us versus them, country versus city people. It's a little bit divisive. It has some of the same rhetoric that we heard during the presidential campaign. And there was a lot of pressure on Johnny Cash to play this song. Now, it's kind of weird. It's not his song, which is odd. But also, what was Johnny Cash going to do? And what he did is he didn't play the song. It wasn't true to him. It wasn't authentic. And he didn't play it. He played another song that was much more healing and much more caring. And it was a song of healing during the Vietnam War protests, rather than a divisive song of us versus them. So after the concert, they interviewed Johnny Cash, and they asked him what he thought of the show. And he said, it was honest, I think. So it wasn't good or bad or right and wrong. It was just honest. It was pure. It was authentic. And then he goes on to say, good or bad, I tried to keep the performance honest. So this is one way we can live our life without regrets, is to try to keep it honest, to try to keep it real, to try to keep it authentic. When we do this and we don't try to hide or embellish, and we're our true selves and we speak our truth, no matter the outcome, I think we can live with no regrets. And so this was a very powerful documentary, I thought, and it really said a lot about Johnny Cash. And then there's another show I'm watching on Netflix. It's a little bit Hallmarky. It's romantic. It's a little corny, but I like it. The gentleman here on the right lives in this place called Virgin River out in the country. And the woman on the left is a doctor who leaves her big city job, maybe in New York, I can't remember. And she comes to live in this small town to be a doctor. And it's starting its second season, November 27th. So I'm really excited. So that's like 5 days from now. So I need more content. So one of the actresses in this show is Annette O'Toole. And she's a very famous actress. She was in a lot of movies when I was young. She's still a wonderful actress. And they were talking about life and regrets and decisions and maybe forks in the road and paths that were never taken, and maybe how things would have been different. And maybe if you'd gotten married earlier or had kids later, or maybe if this happened or that happened. And we imagine an alternate future. We imagine these alternate timelines that could have happened if we just only had made a different decision. And a young character in the show asks her, she's playing a mother and a grandmother, a matriarch. They ask her about that. And this is what she said. She said, I don't have regrets. I make choices, and then I live with the consequences. And I thought that was fantastic. So what I do is I hit pause, I go back a couple frames, I get my iPhone, and I take a picture of my TV on my wall. It's hard to capture content from Netflix. So this is how I have to do it. But this is a profoundly confident woman who has great depth and gratitude and authenticity. I don't have regrets. I make choices, and then I live with the consequences. That's life. That's how we have gratitude. That's how we're thankful for everything that occurs, good and bad. We learn from our mistakes. It makes us who we are. I watched a show yesterday where somebody said they were sorry to a young man in high school because his father had died when he was 8. And he said, "It's okay. I don't know anything different." So that's another approach. You don't know anything different. It's who you are. I've mentioned that I have asthma. I don't know anything different. It's who I am. I don't regret or wished I had an alternate non-asthma timeline. It's just who I am. It's the only thing I've ever known. I don't feel cheated because I don't know what it's like to not have it. And we move on with our life. So I've got one last example. It's my very favorite. I watched this movie with my wife and daughter while we're in another purple tier. It's 13 going on 30. And we all agreed we could watch this movie over and over and over again, and we do. And this is Jennifer Garner. She was the great actress in the spy show on ABC called Alias. It's my favorite show. I watch it over and over again. I've seen it. I'm on my 3rd viewing of the entire series. I saw it live. I watched it on Netflix, and I'm watching it on Netflix again. And my daughter teased me and said, "How can you watch a show that you've already seen twice?" And I laughed and I said, "Well, you do the same thing with Scrubs." Her show is Scrubs. She watches it all the time. And then her boyfriend here is Mark Ruffalo. And the whole point of this show, this movie, is that Jennifer Garner, made decisions from when she was 12, 13, 14 years old that took her on a different path. She became obsessed with money and career and fame, and she really had no friends, and she had no moral compass. She just wanted to get ahead. And so this movie is about having a do-over. She is 30 now still, but she's a 13-year-old in a 30-year-old's body. And as a child, she can see where she's going to end up in 17 years if she doesn't change the decisions she's made and she stops trying to live the lives that other people envy. And that's what this whole movie's about. And when she realizes what she's gotten herself into and the type of life she's leading, she goes home to visit her mother. And they play Vienna Waits for No One by Billy Joel. I haven't really figured out how those lyrics tie in to this clip, but I'm sure it does because I've told you before, everything is in a scene or a movie with intentionality. Just like the Buddhist sutras, everything's storyboarded. Everything's there for a reason. Every shot, every establishing image, every bit of dialogue. And I've told you that all the songs, if you turn on subtitles when you watch a show and you read the lyrics, it goes perfectly with the scene. Like it'll be about arguing and they're arguing. Or it'll be about breaking up and they're breaking up. It'll be about reconciliation and they begin to hold each other's hands. So this is a scene at breakfast. She gets up at her family home with her mother and her mom makes her favorite breakfast and they have a talk about having no regrets.
Mom, do you ever wish you could go back? Like to another time? I wouldn't mind giving back some of these wrinkles.
If you were given one do-over, anything in your life, what would it be?
Nothing.
Really?
Really.
But did you ever make a big mistake? Like a huge one that could change your life? What about that?
Well, Jenna, I know I made a lot of mistakes, but I don't regret making any of them.
How come?
Because if I hadn't have made them, I wouldn't have learned how to make things right.
I'm sorry I missed last Christmas.
So it's very interesting. She even missed Christmas with her parents because she was so busy with her social nightlife in New York. So again, the mother is like a Zen master. She doesn't regret anything in her life, even her mistakes, even the difficulties she embraces, because it helped her become who she is. And we don't have multiple timelines. We have one life. Oftentimes we think celebrities have it all, but there's three that I really admire. Bill Murray, Keanu Reeves, and Stephen Colbert. They all three have profound depth, and they say the same kind of thing. Bill Murray always tells his brother that this ain't a dress rehearsal. This is your life. This is it. Stephen Colbert said that you can't pick and choose what you're going to feel grateful for in your life. You have to be grateful for everything. You have to be grateful even for COVID, even for the presidential campaigns. Everything is their timeline. This is your life. There's no do-over, and it ain't a dress rehearsal. And stop imagining how things might be different, and embrace everything at Thanksgiving, and be grateful for everything, and show gratitude by practicing a life of no regrets and authenticity. So I find this an important bit of advice, Buddhist advice. I think sometimes we tell people the goal, like you should have gratitude or you should have compassion. And that's certainly true. But I think we need to go one step further. How do we do that? How do we have compassion? How do you actually start feeling grateful? You can't just say to yourself, tomorrow I'm going to be grateful. You need some sort of practice. There has to be some sort of roadmap. And for me, I think this no regrets or no regrets, depending on your ability to spell, is one of the secret practices of being able to achieve a life of gratitude. I look over my life, things could have certainly been different, and yet everything seems to fit into place. Everything seems to be exactly as it should be. There's a famous Christian theologian named Schopenhauer, and he said something like this. He said, when you look forwards in your life, everything looks scary. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what's going to happen. But he said, if you stand in one spot from the perspective from the now, and you look back over everything that's occurred in your life, you'll realize you're exactly where you should be. Everything led to this moment. Your job, your family, your house, your friends, everything fit into place, and everything turned out exactly as it should be. And so with that attitude, we can move forward with confidence and without fear or trepidation. It's as if it's planned. All the causes and conditions come together, and we feel grounded. We feel peaceful. We are where we should be. We are at home, our spiritual home. And we remind ourselves of that every time we say Namo Amida Butsu. So if you could please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. So I would like to close again. This is the selected saying, and this is the tradition of Jodo Shinshu talks of giving an opening and closing saying, and then reflecting on that before, during, and after the Dharma talk. So if you could please join me in Gasho one more time. May you, the Buddha, be my witness and attest to the truthfulness of my resolution. I have thus made my aspiration, always known my intentions. Even if I should be subjected to all kinds of suffering and torment, continuing my practice undeterred, I would endure it and never have any regrets. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So I think what this is saying is when Buddhism, our practice, the path, orients our life and becomes the focus of our life and is the compass and gives us direction, we can move forward without ever having any regrets. An aspiration gives us our authenticity. So that concludes Gratitude of No Regrets. I hope you try practicing it. I try every day. Even when my dogs are barking and they ruin my Dharma talks, I still have no regrets. I couldn't make it without them. They keep me peaceful and calm. They're taking me on a journey. And then I wanted to make sure I mention this. There's no services next Sunday, November 29th. We take off Sundays on 4-day holidays. So Thanksgiving is one of those. And I have to tell you, when I first started practicing Buddhism over 20 years ago, I thought this was the coolest thing about Buddhism, is that you can take off 4-day weekends. I just thought that was incredibly, I thought it was the coolest religion there is. So we will see you again in December. I think it's December 6th. And we will have a very special speaker on December 6th. It's a family service, but we have a very special speaker. I don't want to give it away. It's somebody we all know and love. So if you could please close service with me with Gasho. Please stay safe. The numbers are getting worse. Don't have COVID fatigue. We're almost to the finish line with vaccines. Now is not the time to lose focus. You don't want to let your guard down and get sick a month before you would have gotten a vaccine. So please, everyone, be careful. Just think of it as earmuffs and a little winter mask to keep your nose warm. Don't think of it as a mask. So please join me in Gasho, and I hope to see you soon. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. Thank you very much, and drive home safely. Bye-bye.